Now, here's your host, Don Woodchillis, and the professor, Dan Underberg.
Yeah. We all mine. Oh, yeah. Come on.
All right, welcome in a special edition of the Dirty House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas right here on 97.3 The Game, as we celebrate Valentine's Eve. And the man to my right tonight is not the professor. He is the doctor of love. So we'll be dispensing advice throughout tonight's show. If you'll hit us up on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line.
If you need relationship advice,
877-794-1973. As we make our way through the next 2 hours, we're going to talk some Badger basketball. We'll throw in Marquette, UWM. And then you this morning sent me a very interesting message that I think we need to talk about with the former head coach and athletic director at Wisconsin in Barry Alvarez.
Someone's not happy.
Expressing some thoughts. That's very well done, Dan, considering we're now on the air, because you had different terminology when you sent it to me. But I think we need to cover that because, again, the layers of the onion are starting to get peeled back. Things I think are unraveling a slight touch. I'm not saying the walls are coming down and it's catastrophic by any means, but this sense of frustration by many, especially those who have knowledge from within the program, is starting to rear its ugly head, so to speak. In years past, even under the first year plus of Luke Fickell, you got a rumbling here and there. But more and more, especially via social media now, it becomes more prevalent than ever. We're starting to hear a little bit of angst, a little bit of pushback, and a little bit of urgency when it comes to this Badger football team.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't want to give too much away for that segment, but I think for me, Alvarez is a team guy. He's a program guy. You keep it in the family and you do those things. And so he didn't say anything wrong in that interview, is not what I'm assessing, but man, if you kind of listen to the tone, on this Valentine's Day, that tone matters. And
it got amped up as he went,
there
didn't
was some
it?
attitude in that interview. So,
hey, let's give a shout out to the guy behind the glass over there on the ones and twos tonight, David Gasper, filling in. Good to have you on board, sir.
How you boys doing?
We're doing today. We're doing terrific. Sorry you drew the short straw. I'm sure you'd rather be home with your feet up. You didn't have to necessarily jump in and agree on that one, but good to have you on board tonight, David. And as I was telling David before we went on the air, I was getting ready to contact him because David does the post-game show after the Badger games, and we got a big Badger game coming up this Saturday. And then I get the text message that he's filling in tonight for Pipe Bomb, who's down the hall doing some other stuff. And I thought, well, there's one less text message. We've got him on board. We've got our guest working.
Remember when it was like 10 cents a text that you had to send?
10 cents a text.
Roaming data, all that.
I think he and I can remember when it was 31 cents a minute when you had a cell phone. Besides the $30, $35 a month you paid on your bill, and then you had the battery pack. Oh, this is
not even going that. I thought you'd go all the way back like Ma Bell when you were paying long distance fees.
Oh my gosh!
Do you like to accept the charges?
Yeah, exactly.
Or Elvis is calling. No, we're not accepting the charges. Hang up and then wait for the phone to ring for someone who had a few bucks in their pocket to return that phone call. So, David, good to have you here tonight. The professor sits to my right. I'm Don Woodchillis again as we are on this Thursday, Valentine's Eve, for the next 2 hours. Our thanks, as always, to Sewer Ninjas, dedicated to solving your home sewer issues with the latest no-dig sewer repair technology to minimize cost and disruption. They can repair your sewer lateral line with minimal intrusion, saving you thousands. When you need help, turn to the drain and sewer experts for Milwaukee and the surrounding communities. Give Sewer Ninjas a call at 414-250-8605, or you can find them at sewerninjas.com. Our thanks to Waterstone Bank as well, established in 1921, offering a full suite of personal and business banking products. Come for the outstanding customer service, stay for everything else. Bank easier at Waterstone Bank. See everything they have to offer at WSBOnline.com. And before I bring in the professor and David and start talking about some Badger basketball, because as I said, we got a big game coming up on Saturday. I had a brush with greatness here at the station. Professor, on Saturday, I met Tim Shaw. Tim Shaw is always texting and giving his takes and compliments and everything else, and happened to be someplace where all of a sudden paths crossed, got a chance to talk. So, Tim, if you're listening, thanks as always for listening. It was great meeting you. It was fun, chatting things up, and I must say, you're part of the reason why I needed ibuprofen on Sunday morning. So I'm not very happy with you about that, but nonetheless, it was great meeting you. And so continue listening. All right. Oh, one more thing. Guess who's back? 7:40 tonight. The Money Train returns. The Money Train is back.
I almost fell over.
Took a week or two off. Got now through the Super Bowl, so we're going to work some college basketball into the mix. I think he had an IV as he was walking through, but he'll join us on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line again around 7:40. All right, so let's get into some Badger talk here. Again, a big game coming up. David, I'm gonna start with you, because not only is this game important like every other game, but now we're starting to get the sense of where this Badger team could fit in the final Big Ten standings, and this idea of having that double bye once the Big Ten tournament starts is in the mix. And I wrestle with it. I guess I'm asking for your take on this. I wrestle with it because, yes, a Big Ten tournament championship is great. It's a banner. All of those things and the accolades that come and the notoriety and the publicity you get on a national level when it's being televised. I think usually on CBS is the one who hosts the Big Ten tournament. But then there's the other part of me that wants this team as fresh as possible going into March Madness. So there's the theory of being rested, but then there's also the theory of, as long as you keep playing, you're keeping your skills sharp, iron sharpening iron. We've heard all of the great takes. What would be your feeling as far as the Badgers, not only with the remainder of the regular season, but your take on the Big Ten tourney in general?
Well, I think getting that double bye is going to be crucial because, as you mentioned, even with the rest or a deep run, that double bye, that's one less game to play if you're going to end up making a run in the Big Ten tournament. Because I think this team does have the potential to make that kind of a run. And if you're starting on Thursday versus starting on Friday, you got one extra game to play if you're making it to the championship game. I think it's much better to get that double bye. And I mean, last year they made the run to the title game. They didn't end up winning it, but they made the deep run. It improved their seeding in the NCAA tournament, and they got a really tough draw with James Madison. I mean, that was not a great draw for the Badgers last year. This year, I mean, who knows where they'll end up being. I've seen some where they're on the 4-seed line or the 5-seed line. Where they end up, who knows? There's still a lot of games left to be played. But I think for them, I think it's good to have that kind of momentum, get a couple of wins, get something there heading into March. I think I understand the point on wanting a little bit extra rest, maybe not playing Sunday afternoon right into Selection Sunday, but I think that momentum, I think, is definitely going to be helpful for this team as long as they're playing good basketball heading into March. I think they're going to be in a very good spot.
That's a great take as far as I'm concerned, Professor. My worry then is when you get into a potential championship matchup in the Big Ten tournament and you lay an egg, which can happen, right? Anytime you're on the floor, those types of things can happen. To David's point, we always think about it as being a successful entity that you're going to roll then into March and boom, the wheels are turning. But what happens if you get to that point deep into the Big Ten tournament, you lay an egg, and then what does that do for the psyche going into March Madness?
Well, I think if Wisconsin, a couple answers here. If Wisconsin gets a double bye, gets into the Big Ten championship game, and then loses, and even loses bad, I think their space, their position in the bracket is pretty much set between one line or another. I don't think you're going to risk dropping 2 spots or 3 spots. I think that's set up. I think the psyche is a more interesting thing. I think everybody wants to win. They want to go to the next game and win. Where I go with that is Wisconsin has proven it has not fallen into these standard in years past of these win droughts. They've been able to come out of a loss almost sometimes stronger, better than they had been, going into it. And I would just argue that the way this team's mental makeup is right now, that if they did lose that championship game, they're going to be okay. I would argue they're going to go in. They're going to have a good seed. They should be a heavy favorite. You're right, David. Their draw last year just sucked. That was
It was terrible.
Yeah,
It was.
horrible.
Yeah.
So unless something like that happens again, and even this time around, I think they're better situated mentally and physically to be able to handle that draw.
David, with this game coming up against Purdue, it's a weird part of the schedule in that we've really got, games bookended with a week off in the middle. And that can be a blessing and a curse. Once again, talking about momentum. This team has been on a roll. This team has been completely, that's the wrong way to phrase it. It's just been fun to watch. I'll leave it at that, because every time you think they're going to go into a game and you've got question marks here and there, they've answered them really, at a level that I don't think many of us anticipated. This team was not thought very highly of going into the season. I think a 12 pick as far as the preseason went with the Big Ten. But this team's resiliency, the way John Tanji has just fit seamlessly into the mix coming out of the transfer portal. My hope is that rest is good this week. But what I'm hoping also is that in some way or another, it hasn't deterred the momentum that this team has built up.
Right, exactly. And coming into the year, expectations were low. No one knew what to expect out of John Tanji. No one knew he would be what he's been this year, especially coming off of his injury-riddled season at Mizzou last year. Yeah, expectations were not very high, but they've continued to play well. And, they've kind of reset expectations. What Greg Gard has done with this group and being able to change with the times and really kind of evolve as these past couple of years has gone on, I think has been fantastic. I think it's been incredibly underrated as well, how he's done with that. And when it comes to this game, they got a big stretch coming up, not only with Purdue, but there are other matchups after that as well with other ranked opponents. But I think the interesting thing for me is that Purdue is coming off a loss to Michigan, I believe, if I remember correctly. So they're coming off a loss on the road. They're coming back home to Mackey Arena. Does that have Purdue a little more fired up for this game? Or is that going to be something where like, oh, no, Purdue's coming off a loss. Maybe they're not playing their best right now. Maybe that's an opportunity for Wisconsin. I don't know which way it's going to play out, if Purdue's going to be more motivated or if they're going to be struggling. But I think that's what makes this game just that much more interesting on Saturday. With Purdue being such like they are kind of the king of the hill in the Big Ten. They have been for a while, and being able to take them down, that doing it in Mackey Arena is tough enough as it is. But when they're coming off a loss like that, Purdue's probably going to be extra fired up for this one.
And that's an interesting way to view it, because the questions David just posed, I think you can look at it in so many different avenues going into Saturday's game. First and foremost, Mackey has not been a spot for the Badgers to find success. It's been a hot mess for the Badgers to go into Mackey Arena. So as David said, now you've got a Purdue team that has lost, but you've also now have a Badger team that's had this entire week to prep for that particular game. So depending upon the psyche of Purdue, not even the Badgers, the psyche of Purdue, I think then dictates what we're going to find out this weekend when we get this Big Ten matchup that is going to have significant impact as far as the seeding goes in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, I agree, but let's not minimize the psyche of the Badgers coming off a road win from Iowa, right? They're kind of road tested right now. They know they can go in and they can do that. What is that?
Can we say it?
What?
David, the man has been right 2 weeks in a row, and it's just so
2 weeks in a row out of
irritating.
11 years.
So last week we talked about the game, and I'm ready for what we had at.
For a little inside.
I know what we had at the Kohl Center, which was old-fashioned run and gun. And this man to my right says, I'm expecting a good old-fashioned Big Ten affair where it's, grinded out, low scoring. And he's right again. That's 2 weeks in a row. The week before, I was all about how Marquette was going to pick Villanova off. They were right for the pick. I've been wrong 2 weeks in a row, so please continue. I'm sorry.
I'm going to go to TA now. My goodness. No, but what I am saying is that, Wisconsin is got to be going to the MAC area. And both of you are right. It's a tough place to play. A lot of Wisconsin teams have not had success. But in fairness, a lot of Big Ten teams haven't had success in MAC. It's a tough place to play, but I think Wisconsin is up to that task. Do they look? If Wisconsin loses, honestly, I'm not bothered by it. It's Mackey, it's Purdue. It's kind of like when they walked in, they had that West Coast trip to USC and UCLA, and they had a game they could have won against UCLA, but they didn't. But that's okay. It was UCLA. Bruins are having a good season. Life goes on, and they recover from that. So. Can Wisconsin win this game at Purdue? Yes, they can. They have the horses to do it. I think they probably will give Purdue matchup challenges and putting all that together. But will they? Yeah, it's a 50-50 shot. I want to divert really quickly, though. David, you'd said how, Wisconsin season right now is really kind of undervalued and underappreciated, stuff like that. And I totally agree with you. I'm just thinking, if Dusty May is not having the season that he's having with Michigan, Greg Gard, in my opinion, is probably the leader for Coach of the Year in the Big Ten.
But that goes to the fact that what do we love? We love when we have storylines when things are imploding, right? When Greg Gard was struggling, and we've talked about this. We've got the posters and the signs hanging from the dorms, and it's run him out of town, but yet. As you've just illustrated, the kind of year Greg Gard is having, the kind of year this team is having. Listening to Greg Gard coming in to the station today, the coach's show being on right before us tonight, at one point he talked about maybe I should have been a psychologist. And I'm thinking, you're selling yourself short. You are a psychologist when you're able to bring all of these different elements together and create unity. And that's what this Badger team has done, Dan, is they've created this sense of unity. It's not just one against the world, but when it is one against the world, it's the collective one. And that's what I think Greg Gard has done a magnificent job. Also, evolutionizing his style of play. Because we've said it before, and I go back to the Iowa game at the Kohl Center when they dropped 116. This is not mom and dad's Badger basketball team anymore. This team can get up and run in transition as well as anybody. And therein lies where I don't think Greg Gard gets enough credit, enough pats on the back, because this team is one. It's a unified group. And I guess, David, you probably, as much as anybody in watching these games and doing the post-game show, the way they celebrate one another. And I think I brought this up one weekend, Dan, when we were talking in studio here, to watch other guys go on the floor and to watch the starters or the guys who accumulate a ton of minutes celebrate when their teammates are doing well. And it's not necessarily one of those where they, I know some coaches will put a camera on the bench and say, I've got a coach watching you 24/7 to make sure you're engaged. These guys are engaged and wholeheartedly they're rooting for one another.
Yeah, it's the unselfishness of the group, as kind of a lot of the coaches have pointed out throughout the season. It's an unselfish group. it doesn't matter who's scoring, it doesn't matter who's putting up the stats, as long as somebody's scoring, as long as it's a Badger, as long as it's someone in a red jersey or a white jersey, whatever they're wearing that day, as long as they're scoring, we're happy, we're having a good time. And the unselfishness of the group has allowed them all to thrive. And, I think having that with a guy like John Tonje, not trying to hoard the ball for himself, or John Blackwell, even though they probably have every right to with how good they are as a player, they don't. They share the ball. They're unselfish players. It's a little bit different than perhaps a certain Badger team last year with a certain player that now finds himself in a different state, in a different conference. But it's an unselfish group, and that's what's allowing them to thrive.
And then, Dan, based on what David was just talking about, that unselfishness has allowed some other players like Kamari McGee, like Carter Gilmore, to really shine at different points, at points when you really need somebody else to step in. And that's, to me, what has been amazing about this Badger team. When you get certain players going through a bit of a drought, and it happens to everyone on every single team in college basketball, because of this unselfishness, it's allowed, again, the Carter Gilmores, it's allowed the Kamari McGees to fill that void for a period of time that keeps the ball rolling.
Yeah, and we've seen players kind of struggle throughout at different points of the season. Most notably right now has been Max Klesmith, but it feels to me like he's finding his way out of that drought again and playing some better basketball, at least putting the ball in the hoop a little bit more consistently. Yeah. But there again, a lot of players, especially in this era of NIL and me and one and done, might continue to fight for their shot. And there's an example of senior leadership going, no, we're just going to keep rotating the ball and finding the guys that's open. And then you get a Carter, excuse me, you get him, you get Kamari McGee, you get all those guys. And now suddenly they're finding the confidence to find that shot,
right,
and put that in. It goes to, when I was driving over here, guys, I was listening to the Greg Gard show. And it was, Matt LePay was talking to Carter at that time for that interview, and he was talking about how it's so obvious that this team gets along.
Mm-hmm.
How, on the other side of the floor, when things aren't, when they're not playing basketball, and he said that just kind of builds and feeds into what you see on the court.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you brought up Max Klesmith here as we're headed towards a break. Even though Max has struggled at times this year, and him being able to put the ball in the hoop is really, really important for the success of his team, but it hasn't necessarily hindered his ability to exercise that senior leadership while on the floor. There is no question about it. When Max Klesmith is on the floor, he is your field general, so to speak. He's in charge. He's pointing people where they need to go. He's that coaching extension that you want. So, yeah, we want Max to be able to shoot and shoot consistently. But his importance to this team goes beyond just how many points he's able to make. All right, let's get to a break. We'll continue with Badger talk here on the other side of the break. We'll also bring in the Marquette Golden Eagles. UWM has a big weekend coming up. And then again at 7:40, he's back. The money train will be on hand to make some picks for you to make some money as you try to put some things aside for that kitchen remodeling. We're here to help. That's what we're here for on Valentine's Day Eve. All of that coming up here.
More flowers.
The Shirley House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Surgeon, just right here on The Game.
Get ready for the grooviest celebration of the year. Join us at American Place Casino for our Woodstock and Wildflowers 2-year anniversary bash on Saturday, February 15th. We're giving away $50,000 in cash and free play with winners drawn every 15 minutes from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. Participate in our costume drawing for a chance to win $500 in free play. Come celebrate our 2-year anniversary. Don't miss out on all the fun promotions and live entertainment. Peace, love, and big jackpots await. Visit AmericanPlace.com for more details.
Sometimes it feels like the world is moving at hyperspeed and you can't keep up because it's one thing then another. And don't forget the meeting and the yoga class and the dinner reservation. But then you get into the all-new Nissan Murano and you feel the breeze from the panoramic moonroof. while the massaging seats melt away the tension of the day. And you realize that sometimes the greatest rush is not rushing at all. Shop the all-new Murano at nissanusa.com. Panoramic moonroof massaging leather-appointed seats are available features.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Listen to the Creative Construction Wisconsin Home Improvement Show Saturday morning starting at 8. Ryan McDermott from Wausau Supply will be in studio to talk about the NARI Milwaukee Spring Home Improvement Show, only on Fox Sports 920 and your iHeart Radio app.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of home ownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making home ownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit rocket.com. That's rocket.com.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature-Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature-Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
For live radio to have lyrics, that's amazing.
You guys outdid yourselves.
Join the millions already on the new and improved iHeartRadio app.
Can I give it 6 stars?
Find your new favorite feature on the iHeartRadio app today.
iHeartRadio.
97.3 The Game.
I'm not the only one I've ever had. And you say you're gonna set me free. Don't you know you'll be in misery? You know why they call me?
That's what we're calling the professor tonight. Welcome in. It's a journey out. Talk about a look. College Sports Show.
I would tell you to shut up, but I love that song. Okay.
Powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas right here at 97.3 The Game. Waterstone Bank is proud to partner with Journey House. Journey House has been transforming lives in and around Milwaukee since 1969, empowering families to move out of poverty by offering a wide variety of programs from youth to adult. You go to journeyhouse.org for more information. So the Badgers, again, big game coming up. Marquette finally got one in the win column again. Still wasn't pretty. And this Marquette team, you know, I used to love to call their defense chaotic ballet because they're all over the place, right? But there's a scheme to it. It's just not whatever. But lately, they do have a bit of a whatever look to them. They look out of sync. And I don't know necessarily what the cause of it is. It was good to see him again get the win against DePaul, but this team doesn't look like what we saw even a month ago, that things look just a little bit disjointed. Now, the good part about it is that they have a few left in the regular season, plus the Big East tournament to make corrections. But right now, I'm a little scared. I'm a little worried, but I'm hoping it's not being overblown. My fandom is not being overblown as a college basketball fan with regards to what I'm seeing here right now with the Marquette Golden Eagles.
Well, let's just say that DePaul came at the right time.
Right.
We needed that DePaul game, and even if it wasn't pretty, to put a W back in that column mattered. Seton Hall's coming at the right time. Villanova's coming at the right time, and Villanova's on the road, so that'll still be, you're still gonna have that challenge with that. When you look at Marquette and that 3-game losing streak, you have to take into consideration that they played the defending national champion. They played arguably the best team in the Big East right now. And then a Creighton team that has always been floating near the top, that is difficult to play on the road, and has always played quality basketball. So, we looked at that stretch early in the season and thought that could be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And if you walk out of there 1-2, you're still feeling, okay, that's all right. They walked out 0-3. So what that's an indicator of, I think, number one, is somewhere after that UConn game being tired.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part is recognizing that Marquette is a great team, but it still has a ways to go in terms of making sure that it is consistent day in, day out, that there's got to be an answer when Cam Jones is shut down. There's got to be an answer when Stevie Mitchell's shut down. There's got to be other options. We've seen the Badgers kind of evolve into that other option potential, and Marquette's got them. I'm not saying that they don't, but there's got to be the other members of that roster or off the bench that can come in and pick up the team. And that just didn't happen again, but they did against really quality opponents.
Yeah.
So a chance now to build some momentum again, and that's how they have to take it.
And build momentum is going to be a necessity,
Mhm.
especially heading into the Big East tournament, because I'll go back. I thought 2 weeks ago UConn was there, as I noted, where I thought they were, ripe for the picking, so to speak. But again, as you noted, with Hurley at the helm, they're going to now build towards what will be the Big East tournament in March Madness and try to do what the Kansas City Chiefs couldn't, which is now win 3 in a row. The talent is there for UConn. They're just, once again, being the hunted. So it seems like the whole world is after them. And Hurley, every once in a while, looks like he gets a little, unraveled.
Well, that's his natural state.
Well, yeah, it's his natural state, but it seems like it's a little bit more than normal, which could pose a problem. The part that made me nervous, even against DePaul with Marquette, is they only shot 37% from the field, 16% from beyond the arc. That is wildly uncharacteristic for this Golden Eagle team. And then only 70% from the charity stripe. And at one point, that was 20% lower, except for a stretch in which the percentage jumped right back up to something somewhat respectable in that 70 percentile. Free throws, a must once we get to tournament time, because we all know how close those games can be. And if you can make your free throws with consistency, that can be the telltale sign of whether or not you're going to advance. And for any team in today's game, the ability to shoot from beyond the arc. There are very few teams out there that don't need to shoot from three-point land in order to be competitive. And right now, I think Marquette is not one of those. Marquette's going to have to figure out a way to shoot from beyond the arc, as well as this free throw line epidemic, so to speak, that took place in what we saw against DePaul, in order to advance. Because now we're getting to that point with the regular season winding down, still got plenty of time as far as games go, but we're still on that back end of the curve headed towards tournament time. And when you get into one and done scenarios, you can be upset because, as I've quoted Brian Miller from MSOE so many times, you just need to win one. That's all you need to do. And you have a team that's expected to advance, survive, and make a deep run that's suddenly packing their bags and going home because the team you may have overlooked just needs to win one. And that's what makes me nervous when teams get into these skids, so to speak, at this time of the year.
Yeah, well, again, I'm going to go off of what you mentioned in terms of the percentages, the free throw percentage. I'll get to that in a minute. But the field goal percentage, the 3-point percentage, and how poor they were in the last game. To me, that's an indicator of tired legs and just being in that part of the season and doing those things.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick, only because isn't that the part, though, that scares us all the time over the last few years with Marquette, is that they fly around the way they do for the better part of the season, and we consistently have these discussions once we get into tournament time about our teams looking tired. And again, you just brought it up.
Right.
They look tired.
I did. Yeah.
And that's the part, again, that plays into those low percentages.
But I think there's, again, at that three game stretch that is so difficult, and you're expelling so much energy. I think I can give him that one game of forgiveness, right? And put that together, because I think you see this in the NBA all the time. You see a team go on a losing streak simply because they were on a long road trip, or they had back-to-back one day or something like that. This is just one of those, for me. I don't think that this is I think that this is an outlier for Marquette. Now, I'm with you on the free throws, and especially when you get into tournament time, when you're getting into those grind games or getting in those 2-minute games, and every free throw counts, and it's not just the ones within those last 2 minutes. You look back on it and you look at it and go, well, look at all the free throws, the opportunities we had throughout the first 40 minutes of the game, and putting that together. I just think those are things that they can work on, they can improve, and they haven't necessarily been a bad free throw shooting team throughout the season. So I think they're going to course correct that. But if their intention is to, the two most valuable scoring options in basketball right now are either to shoot the three or to take the layup. That's it. But if you're going to be taking the layup, you better expect to be getting fouled, and that's where those free throws come in. And so you got to hit them.
Absolutely. And we've got some of the best, as far as college basketball goes, in guard play is where I'm going with this. And so off the dribble penetration, you're getting to the hoop, you're drawing that contact. And when you get to the free throw line, as you just said, it's really important to be consistent, right? You're not going to be 100%. There's very few guys who shoot in the 88, 89 percentile. There just is. It's not as easy as one would think when you've got fans and everything else going on within the arena to focus and do what you need to do. It's just not as simple as I think everybody wants to make it out to be, but yet it's so important if you're going to survive and advance. So Marquette now will get back on the floor on Tuesday next week.
Yeah.
Man, these schedules are a little, you get used to the Tuesday, Saturday, or the Wednesday, Saturday. And before you know it, all of a sudden you get a gap like this, like Wisconsin had. It just throws you off. All right. The music in the headphones tell me we got to take a break. On the other side of the break, he's back. The money train is back with us to make some picks to help you put a little bit more into your bank account, and we'll get to him next. It's the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, right here, 97.3 The Game.
Shake me, baby, bake me. No need to fake, here I am, come on and take me. Wine your body, baby, move your body. I see you slip sliding, come on and do it, honey.
Brian Butch for Window Nation. And right now we're in the month of February, and it's a short month, and you do not want to miss out on this great deal by Window Nation. 60% off all window styles from Window Nation. Plus, you get 0% interest and no payments for 2 full years. But it's only through the end of February. So give them a call at 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Schedule that in-home consultation right now. 866-90-NATION.
Valentine's Day is just around the corner. If you're looking to make this year unforgettable, you have to check out Diamonds Direct. Whether it's a sparkling necklace, stunning ring, or something totally unique, shop smart this Valentine's at Diamonds Direct. Make this Valentine's one to remember.
Hey, Jason, what do you think of Capital's new jingle?
I like it, but I don't love it.
What? Why not?
It's catchy, but it says call capitalcares.com. So is it telling people to call or go online when they need help with heating, plumbing, or electrical?
Yes.
Yes to what?
Yes to both. So call or go online and right now get a $49 Beyondification. That's a furnace tune-up done right for only $49.
Got it. And Mimi does rock the vocals.
Call capitalcares.com.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
Next on Metro's Nada Yada Island podcast.
I almost fainted when the 4 new bombshells arrived. 4 free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G phones at Metro.
No way.
And finding out the 4th line is free. Oh, things got heated.
That's wild. Join Metro and get 4 free Samsung 5G phones. Only at Metro.
Plus tax. Bring 4 numbers and an ID and sign up for any Metro Flex plan. Not available currently at T-Mobile or have been with Metro in the past 180 days.
Hey, Badger fans, time is running out to catch Wisconsin men's basketball at the Kohl Center this season. Don't miss your chance to see John Blackwell, John Tonje, and the rest of the Badgers as they battle Big Ten opponents on their home court. Be part of the action and secure your seats today at uwbadgers.com or call 1-800-GO-BADGERS. That's uwbadgers.com or 1-800-GO-BADGERS.
EasyCater. It's all the food for your workplace, all in one place. With over 100,000 restaurants nationwide on one platform. Whether you need food for company meetings or events, daily employee lunches, or your next lunch and learn, EasyCater makes food for work work. And it doesn't stop at lunch. With EasyCater, you've got great breakfast options, snacks, treats, and more. Whenever and wherever work happens, EasyCater's here to make the food happen. Order now at easycater.com.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
The Fox 6 weather experts are presented by AdventKnows.com.
Clear and cold tonight. Temperatures dropping into the single digits overnight. Partly sunny on Friday with a high of 27. A winter weather advisory is in effect Friday night. 2 to 4 inches of snow expected on Friday night. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks.
This report is sponsored by Bank of America. What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? Whether you're a local shop or global enterprise, Bank of America gives you access to a range of business solutions to help make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business.
Milwaukee's FM home for sports. 97.3 The Game.
It's like a security blanket, is it? When you hear that music,
Our Valentine's Day gifts to Milwaukee is what it is.
Well said, Dan. All right, welcome back in. It is the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas. We're going to head in a moment to the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line and bring in the Money Train. But first, we want to let you know that the Money Train is being brought to you by the Red Zone MKE. The Red Zone, located on Howell and College near the airport. Enjoy a draft and watch the game on one of their many TVs located throughout. That's the Red Zone on Howell and College. So let's get to the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. He's well rested. It's been a couple of weeks. It's the Money Trade. TA, how are you, sir?
Gentlemen, how are you? It's nice to be back.
It's great to have you back. We're excited for some picks to head into the weekend and, put a little extra cash in the old kitchen remodeling fund.
Well, I mean, you made me go on the dark web to get some of these lines.
Sure, you were getting lines. All right, T, what's the first game, bud?
All right. Well, first, I got to take this one. This seems like the easiest bet of the week. Northern Kentucky is playing Green Bay Phoenix. All right, you know about that team north of us.
Yeah, we've heard.
The Phoenix, they have not won a game in 4 months. I mean, that's a long time. I didn't even know the season was that long. I mean, it's all right. So
got Rickles on here right now.
Northern Kentucky is given 6.5. I'm taking Northern Kentucky over Gatlin State.
All right, Northern Kentucky -6 and the hook. Game number 2.
Yes. All right, we got the Iron Bowl on hardwood coming up on Saturday. This line I was able to find pretty easy. Auburn, Alabama. Alabama giving 1.5 at home. I like the Crimson Tide.
Alabama giving 1.5 at home against Auburn, against Bruce Pearl.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right.
At home?
I get
All
it.
right.
I get it.
All right. Tennessee went into Kentucky the other day, and they didn't fare so well, but they haven't lost 2 games in a row yet this year, and they're only laying 6.5 to Vandy. I like Tennessee at home. I'm sorry, Tennessee at home.
All right, Tennessee given 6 in the hook, and as always, we always got to get a bonus pick.
All right, tomorrow UCLA's flying over to Indiana to play the Hoosiers. Indiana's not the team that we used to know and grew up with. I like UCLA making a long trip over there and beating the Hoosiers, and they're laying 1.5.
Okay, so UCLA on the road laying 1.5. He didn't even know that he segued perfectly into one of the items we're going to cover in headlines by taking that Indiana UCLA game. T, good to have you back. Thanks for jumping on.
Hey, not a problem. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. That's the Money Train joining us on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. David, can we get to some headlines, sir?
Got it printed in the paper, everything that you do. You wanna ride it, rock and roll. It's a hot news hit for your radio. It's the headlines. Tell me, have you heard it? Headlines. Read all about it, baby. Headlines. Headlines.
All right, as we make our way to the top of the hour here in hour number 1 of our fine program, Professor, let's start before we get into the Indiana talk, because we had a bunch of it last week. And then to see what the news stories are regarding the Hoosiers, I thought was a little bit ironic. And no, we will not cue Alanis Morissette in the midst of all of this. But let's start here, because we talked about the fact that Concordia University had this wonderful tournament a few weeks ago, and we were talking about it in the midst of that tournament, and you brought it up talking about how it was about to go away after so many years, and then get a press release this week from Concordia University of Nebraska and Concordia University of Chicago that are trying to pool some resources in order to get this thing back up and running. And for anybody who has ever, let's say, gone to CUW in the midst of this particular tournament, it's absolutely huge, and it's one of those things that really makes college sports special. So I was thrilled to see that Nebraska and Chicago trying to, again, pool some resources and keep this thing running.
Yeah, it's I am glad that they can do it, because it allows with a 1-year gap, because part of the allure and the draw of this tournament is, it's number one, it's a collection of similar universities that come together, but the other part is that it's been going on for so long and putting that together. So you get this 1-year pause. They're going to try to bring it back together again, and it is part of the institutional culture that is Concordia.
Absolutely.
Going through there. And so it's a way for those universities to celebrate who they are, what they do, and their approach to student athletes and college athletics. And for anybody that isn't familiar with it, it is a big, big deal to these universities. It was a very bad day a little bit more than a year ago when the announcement came out to Concordia, Wisconsin, Concordia, Ann Arbor, that it would be separating itself from this program.
Right.
So I'm happy for Nebraska. I'm happy for Chicago that they can continue that. And hopefully there's a way to expand that again to more Concordia teams, because it used to be more than 4.
Right.
It used to be much, much bigger than that.
I think the way to equate it is one of the things that we've always proposed as far as college basketball goes is an in-state tournament where Wisconsin, UWM, UW Green Bay, and Marquette somehow played in a tournament in which we could figure out how to match things up so Green Bay and UWM don't necessarily go head-to-head unless they choose to, because obviously within the same league, within the horizon, that could create, a little angst as far as the scheduling goes. But where I'm going with this is the hype that would be generated to have all 4 Division I teams playing in some form of a tournament that rotates, whether it's Fiserv Forum, Panther Arena, up at the Rush Center in Green Bay, over to the Kohl Center in Madison, to have that kind of rotation going. That's what was taking place with Concordia. And it was the Concordia schools, as you said, rotating through, and it brought just this incredible energy during that tournament between the basketball teams, the dance teams, the cheer competitions. It was just a great unifier for those particular universities.
Yeah, and if you don't believe this is a big deal, these are alumni and students that would make the 8.5-hour trip to Nebraska.
Absolutely.
And same thing, Nebraska coming and a much longer trip just to get to Ann Arbor if they wanted to participate in that. It was really this kind of unique, there's a bit of Hoosiers element to it, because it's small schools coming together. It's the small gyms coming together and just having that experience of maybe basketball in kind of an environment the way it used to be.
Right.
It's not thumping music all the time. It's not all these things. It's just you're into the game. And, again, happy for Nebraska and Chicago that they can continue.
So between you and TA, just inadvertently with a great transition, as we talk about Hoosiers. The Indiana Hoosiers, who once again have made some headlines. And David, I'll bring you in on this one because we've had this discussion about Indiana, their basketball program, and now we're hearing that it will be in search of a brand new head coach as Mike Woodson is going to step aside at the end of the season. And I know they're trying to figure out a Bobby Bonilla type buyout for him so that they don't find themselves in some financial peril, which we're going to get to at the top of the next hour. But David, I want to ask you this. How prominent is the Indiana job anymore? I mean, Indiana was the basketball job, especially in the Midwest and maybe across the country as far as blue bloods go. You could throw in North Carolina and Duke, obviously. Indiana was up there as far as a sought-after position. Where do you think it stands now? Because I think its luster is gone, and I think based on some of the names we're going to throw out in a minute, if they really, I don't know, in my opinion, if they really think these names are going to just suddenly show up in Bloomington, I want to know what you're drinking on a Friday night.
Yeah, I think the luster, it might be down a little bit, but at the same time, it's also still a Big Ten job. So, I mean, for some coaches, like that allure is still going to be there. You're in a power program, power conference. And you can also have the honor of rebuilding that program to a new glory that it hasn't seen in a while. And also, too, I think with the transfer portal and with the way college sports is now, even if the team isn't as good right now, you can rebuild pretty quickly. You hit on a guy or two in the transfer portal, and next thing you know, you're in there. Because, I mean, we could have looked at Wisconsin last year. It's like, okay, you lose A.J. Storr, you lose Chucky Hepburn. It's like, man, that looks like an undesirable spot, altogether. And then all of a sudden you get the right guy in there in Tonje, and it's like, oh, wow, this team's actually competing for a Big Ten title. So I think with Indiana, like there still is that name value. Again, it may not be what it once was under, previous coaches, what it was, years ago, but it's still a Big Ten school. It's a prominent Big Ten school, especially in basketball. I mean, that's a basketball crazed state, and they are really craving a strong basketball program. And we've seen them turn around football too. I mean, football was nothing at Indiana for years. And then you get Curt Cignetti in there, and all of a sudden, very quickly, they're in the college football playoff. I mean, they're a legitimate program there at Indiana. And I think that maybe is bringing in some money to the athletic program as well. So they may have some money to spend in order to get guys in transfer portal, NIL. So I think it's still a fairly desirable job.
It's crazy to think, based on what David has just been talking about, as far as a desirable job goes, and how many coaches they've had now over the last decade plus who haven't been able to turn this thing around. When you go down the list of the number of coaches, you know, the Tom Creans of the world.
The list right here.
Go just run down a few of them.
Since Bob Knight retired in 2000 or was asked to leave in 2000.
Escorted stage left.
Escorted, yes. They have had Mike Davis, highly regarded at the time, Kelvin Sampson, highly regarded at the time, Dan Dakich, Tom Crean was going to change things around, Archie Miller, then obviously Mike Woodson. So they're averaging just about one coach every 4 years.
And go back into that list when you see a Kelvin Sampson who leaves Indiana and then goes and has success with other programs. You know what I mean? Like, what has happened to the culture at Indiana that is creating this spiraling, I don't know, platform, whatever the word is I'm looking for here, that Indiana has just become a hot mess. So when you see the names that people start throwing out as potential candidates for Indiana, I just scratch my head in. So, for instance, Baylor's Scott Drew. Why would I leave Baylor? I've made Baylor now a predominant player in college basketball. Bruce Pearl. I'm leaving Auburn. Why? Every name I go down, I just go, why? TJ Alzberger at Iowa State. And I think I just hammered his last name, and I apologize for that. And I'm not going to give it a second shot because I'll make it worse. But Iowa State now has made themselves a player in college basketball. So I get what David is saying in that you've got this name and the ability then to be the guy, right? I can come in, I can turn it around, and I can make those clown pants worth something again. But we've seen good coaches fail. And I don't know, with some of the names, David, that are being thrown out, why I would want to leave the program that I've ascended to with to go take this dumpster fire in Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to depend on where that coach is coming from, like the situation they find themselves in. If they're in a desirable one, are they going to look to leave? Maybe not. But still, with NIL, it should be a fairly sizable NIL budget. And Woodson's, he's got a pretty good budget at his disposal. He got some pretty good guys from the transfer portal. It hasn't gelled. The roster makeup, the roster construction hasn't exactly gelled for him. So maybe that's just a matter of a better roster construction and finding guys in the portal. Maybe it's a matter of culture. But the head coach has the ability to set some of the culture there as well.
So Dan, tie it all together with what he just said. They've brought in a bunch of players, right? Within the NIL. Doesn't that just once again show you how good we have it at Wisconsin with Greg Gard, how good we have it at UWM with Bart Lundy, how good we have it with Shaka Smart at Marquette, who doesn't even look at the transfer portal.
I would look at Shaka Smart first.
Who's able to embrace the guys he's recruited and keep them for 4 years.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. For all we know about NIL, and we still know very little in terms of trying to fight our way through this process, finding the right fits for the right programs and the right culture. It's still a bit of a crapshoot out there because I think there are a lot of teams out there, Kansas being one of them. You just mentioned JJ Story. He hasn't really amounted to what I think what Kansas had thought he was going to bring.
And not what they paid for.
Yeah, exactly. So, bingo. And putting that on there. So, by the way, speaking of getting paid, though, every one of those guys that you listed, beginning with Bruce Pearl, well, thank you very much. They're going to get a little bit more of a bump in their salary now that they're on that list.
Absolutely.
For Indiana.
And you don't know how many agents were actually putting them on that list to help negotiate whatever that future salary might be. All right, let's wrap up our number one as we head to the top of the hour. When we come back, We're going to talk some Badger football, a couple of storylines that I think need to be addressed. We'll get into Division III, and we'll hand David's first opportunity to hand out a shovel with our beloved show comes up at the end of hour number 2, and we'll get to it all next. Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, right here, 97.3 The Game.
Get ready for the grooviest celebration of the year. Join us at American Place Casino for our Woodstock and Wildflowers 2-year anniversary bash on Saturday, February 15th. We're giving away $50,000 in cash and free play with winners drawn every 15 minutes from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. Participate in our costume drawing for a chance to win $500 in free play. Come celebrate our 2-year anniversary. Don't miss out on all the fun promotions and live entertainment. Peace, love, and big jackpots await. Visit AmericanPlace.com for more details.
Must be put in the years of age or older. He or someone you know has a gambling problem. Prices, counseling, and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
Monica, we've got to hand it to you.
You and the design team have outdone yourselves.
Are you talking about the One Collection?
Those rings say you are the one.
And they say it symbolically.
Describe the symbols.
Every ring in the One Collection should be presented with a special ritual.
What would that ritual be?
You pick up her left hand and you place a kiss on her ring finger.
Rick, you never told me about that part.
Then you show her the tiny red diamond, flush mounted inside the ring, that will forever be in contact with her finger.
Why is it red?
Because that's when the giver says to the one, wherever you go, my heart goes with you.
I give you this kiss. I give you my heart.
The red diamond is a secret symbol of that sacred moment.
The center diamond on the outside of the ring is for the whole world to see.
But the tiny red created diamond inside the ring is only for the two of them.
The One Collection of engagement rings is available exclusively at Kessler's.
To find the Kesslers nearest you,
visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Stirring fiber, exercising, frequent trips to the store for more laxatives and fiber. Sounds like your constipation with belly pain is a lot to manage. But if your symptoms that keep coming back are signs of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Were you uninvited to game night? Do you play board games with the ferocious intensity of an iron-fisted oligarch? Have friends left game night asking, how do you sleep at night? Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. They can help anyone sleep. Right now, during Mattress Firm's President's Day sale, save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic. Plus, get a $300 instant gift. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money because you're in charge. And right now, you're going to pay for groceries. But you decide what groceries. Just keep in mind you're running out of dishwashing soap. But you decide if you're going to buy that soap. Just those dishes won't clean themselves, will they? Remember, with Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Get ready for our 2025 iHeart Podcast Awards.
March 10th, we'll honor the very best in podcasting from the past year and celebrate the most innovative talent and creators in the industry. And you'll help decide who wins Podcast of the Year. Vote now at iHeartPodcastAwards.com.
Lenovo is proud to be a part of the iHeart Podcast Awards at South by Southwest, where creativity and innovation collide. With the new Legion Go S, the first licensed handheld powered by SteamOS, your game goes anywhere. Visit Lenovo.com/Legion Go, empowering creators everywhere.
Your home for the Badgers and stuff. This is WRNW-FM Milwaukee, 97.3 The Game, an iHeart radio station.
Welcome to the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank and presented by Sewer Ninjas. Now, here's your host, Don Wachillis, and the professor, Dan Underberg.
right, welcome in. Hour number 2 of the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank and presented by Sewer Ninjas right here at 97.3 The Game. Don Wachilis, along with the professor, a.k.a. the Doctor of Love, on this Valentine's Eve, and David Gasper on the ones and twos for the next hour here as we make our way through our fine program. We're going to get into some Badger storylines on the football side of things. Also want to address an article that was in The Athletic with regards to the financial side of football and athletic departments in the Big Ten. We'll get to that. Some D3 news here. A good game last night in the midst of the snowstorm as Wisconsin Lutheran got only its second loss of the year over at MSOE. So we'll get into that and some other games happening in the WIAC because they are ever so close now to tournament time. And again, I think with this new ranking system that we'll touch upon very quickly, it almost feels as if, like football, you're really going to need to win your conference tournament and get that automatic bid. I think the days of multiple bids coming for the WIAC and some other regional conferences have gone by the wayside with this new system. And then again, Mr. Gasper gets to hand out a shovel here at the end of the show. You can just see it's with breathless anticipation. He sits back there waiting to do this. So we'll do that all here in the next 60 minutes. And again, our thanks to Sewer Ninjas, dedicated to solving your home sewer issues with the latest no-dig sewer repair technology to minimize cost and disruption. When you need help with your drain and sewer issues, you contact Sewer Ninjas. You'll find them at sewerninjas.com. Our thanks as well to Waterstone Bank, established in 1921, offering a full suite of personal and business banking products. Come for the outstanding customer service. Stay for everything else. Bank easier at Waterstone Bank. See everything they have to offer at WSBonline.com. So, Professor, as I noted in the first hour, you sent me a message this morning with the attachment, right? With the attachment. And really, the article boils down to the fact that Barry Alvarez was on a radio program in Madison talking in essence about the state of Wisconsin football. And what was interesting in the midst of watching the clip is how you could see the engine building. Like, the more the discussion progressed, the greater, I'll say, the anger. Now, whether it was anger or just adrenaline, whatever you want to put in.
That was one of them.
Yeah, that got going. And it just seemed to really build as the interview was taking place. And really what it boiled down to, in my mind, was, listen, I took this program from the bottom of the bottom and built it into a contender. And I'm starting to get really frustrated by the state of this program after I've left it and where it sits right now. And somebody better find some urgency as we head into spring football, and do so quickly, because I don't think many people can sit and watch another season of what we saw last year.
Oh, I agree with that. Yes, when that clip was airing, you could just start to see kind of the temperament, kind of the football coach come out of him a little bit.
Yes, there you go.
Might be the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And as he was looking at it and kind of extolling, like, this spring practice is so important. This is a group that has to work extra hard to get to a point where they want to get back to where they were, not all that long ago. And definitely during Alvarez's time and putting that together, I think that's his frame of reference. And that's all of our frame of references, really, when you look at that. When I thought about that later on this afternoon, there's one thing that I think maybe some of these coaches would sit down with Barry and say, but Barry, it's not the same environment anymore. It's completely different.
That's true.
You were able to recruit people that you knew by and large were going to stay for 4 or 5 years. They were going to build into the system. You could pick your guys, and if they didn't work out, they would vet themselves out, kind of a thing.
Sure.
Now we're not dealing with that anymore. Now it's very transactional. It's money based, and we've got a lot of kids now that are deciding, you know what, I don't like what I see here after 1 year. A lot of maturity issues, whatever it is, and they're just going to move on. And now all of a sudden you have a much harder time developing those players that you imagined were going to be a key part of your program, maybe even 2 years down the road. So I feel a little bit for Wisconsin, but I think what Barry Alvarez did in that clip is he legitimized what we all feel right now as Badger fans.
I think you said it very well, Dan, because don't you get the idea of a Barry Alvarez and other coaches that were prevalent, relevant, the top of their game during their era, and thinking that what needs to take place now, their system, their style would work in today's system? And I don't know if it would. I don't know if, and I'm just going to put it this way. You've got Ron Dayne, right? You've got Ron Dayne. You make him into, let's say it's his junior year. He's starting to really become the headline for Wisconsin football. And in today's world, Texas gives Ron Dayne a call and says, here's what I'm offering. I don't know if Ron Dayne stays. To your point, right? I don't know if the stars that we grew accustomed to at Wisconsin, who were developed by Barry Alvarez and the successors thereafter, would be around today because of how transactional this game has become. And because it has become so transactional, it's why people are having such angst when it comes, because you don't know. Like we talked last week, you used to look at the high school recruiting classes, rate, we got how many 4 stars, how many 5 stars, and what this could mean in 2-3 years as these athletes progress. Now these athletes aren't around. So as I said last week, all right, Alabama, you grabbed a bunch of 5 stars. Georgia, you grabbed a bunch. That's great. Where are they going to be after next year? Because that 5-star athlete as a freshman who didn't get the playing time you promised when you recruited said athlete is now hearing offers from other schools with either the same amount of money or more, and the opportunity to get on the field. It's insane how much time you could spend looking at the transfer portal and looking at how many players move at any given moment when the window is open.
Yeah, and let's look a little bit deeper into this rabbit hole a little bit too, because what made Wisconsin's program, what gave it its signature for so long was its walk-on program and the ability to develop those athletes that weren't quite, they were recruited. Let's understand, there just wasn't a scholarship available for them at the time. So they had the opportunity to walk on, and a lot of good athletes, one of them I believe was Jimmy Leonard, was a walk on, but there are a lot of others that found their way into Badger prominence, into Badger history. And there was this pipeline, of good football players that, again, were willing to develop, willing to play, do those things and bide their time and earn a little bit. And now you can have a walk on, and let's be clear what's happening out in college football right now. Everybody's got their little hands and everybody else's, dirty laundry, trying to put that on, trying to see who's the next player that we can pull from your program. So now you've got a really good walk-on player that's really starting to develop and show what they can do. Well, guess what? They don't have, not only do they may not have yet a scholarship, now that another institution can walk and say, hey, look, know you're happy there, but we can get you that scholarship right now, and we can help you with a better NIL deal.
Oh my gosh, yes. And that's what it's all about right now. It's the NIL deal. There is no necessarily what do I want? I don't know what the word is I'm looking for here, but as far as loyalty goes with a program anymore, you brought it up last week talking about women's basketball, right? I believe it was Kentucky, where the coach got in front of the press and was like, wait a minute, I've got to change my mentality. I have to be loyal to the university and not loyal to the player anymore, because my players will pick up and leave at any given moment, and it's putting me in a bind, and I'm putting all my time, effort, and energy trying to recruit and maintain the group that I have, and they don't have that sense of loyalty anymore that we saw under Barry Alvarez,
Mhm.
which I guess again is a strange predicament to be in, because we've seen over the last decade now how this thing has evolved and how this thing has changed. And because of the lack of parameters that have been in play with this new NIL and all of the other things that come into play, it's just the wild, wild west. And until we start to put some fencing around it, it's going to continue to be this way. And in a moment, we'll get into the financial point of it, because I think now this is, to me, let's jump there, Dan. This is, to me, is what's going to change things. It's not going to be, we need Congress to come in and put some stipulations around it so fans can understand. It's going to be about the money. Like so many things in our world, it's about the money. And what we're seeing right now, especially in the Big Ten, is that we're seeing some schools that are having some grave difficulties, where I think it's only going to get worse if we don't figure out how to put some parameters around this thing before it gets better. So The Athletic was reporting this past week, they had somebody do a deep dive into the Big Ten, looking at the finances of the athletic departments for the fiscal year of 24. So in general, the Big Ten grossed $2.84 billion. The problem, they spent $3 billion. So we're running into a deficit right off the bat. Now,
So that's bad.
that is bad.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's math 101 as far as I can remember from high school when I wasn't napping during that class. But yes, that's bad. So, for instance, Ohio State ran a $3.8 million deficit. Excuse me, not 3.8, a $38 million deficit.
It's bigger than 3.
That is. It's a
Yeah,
little.
right.
See, you were awake during math
Little
class
bigger,
too.
yep.
That is thought to, though, be just a one-time, one-off kind of a thing. That is not necessarily something that by next year, with having a few more home games, the amount of money that is brought in through just game tickets is amazing, which is another thing that Wisconsin has to be concerned about, because you got to
Absolutely.
keep that
Mhm.
program at a level to continue the fan base to come rolling in. So the $38 million deficit for Ohio State, okay, it's a one-off. It'll be fine. But then you look at somebody like Rutgers, who amassed a $41 million deficit. And in the course of 5 years now, that deficit's gone to 139. So you've got this longevity, so to speak, of a deficit being incurred by Rutgers. At what point do these athletic programs almost implode? Because as far as the Big Ten goes, they're a separate entity.
Mhm.
Most of these athletic programs receive nothing from the university as far as fees or some of the other things that may be incurred at the Division III level,
Sure.
where the athletic programs get supported. They are their own entity. And now you've got a school like Rutgers that has run a deficit now for 5 years. They're in the hundreds of millions of dollars as far as collectively being in the red. These are the elements, I think, that are going to push whatever the entity is to put some parameters around NIL, the transfer portal, all of this with regards to college football.
Well, years ago, and this is probably pushing 15, 20 years ago, there was the discussion, this new discussion of the arms race in college football. And that was really built around facilities, right?
Yes.
Practice facilities, new stadiums, and things like that. But now this arms race has expanded. Okay. So it's gone into higher level coaches. There was one program, and I got the same article. I forgot what it was. They're all spending a ton of money on recruiting software, which, by the way, now instead of getting my buyout for football coaching, I might just see if I can buy into a software package if they're spending that kind of money on software packages for recruit. And it goes into, again, all of the perks that you will give the 17, 18, 19-year-old athlete to come in. And I'm not even including NIL in this conversation. That's not part of it. So this arms race has evolved in ways that we haven't anticipated in terms of, and instead of trying to get your arms around it, well, we're just going to spend more money. We need more money. And what kills me looking at this is the amount of money that the Big Ten is pulling in. And a lot of this money is dispersed to the athletic departments by way of, we had teams in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
You have teams going to the bowl games. You have teams going to the playoffs. You have all these different things that it doesn't just benefit the particular university that's in. All the teams within the Big Ten, all those athletic departments get something. And yet we still can't seem to put it together. And it goes back to a variety. We want to point the money or point the finger at the coaches.
Mhm.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
But it's not the biggest thing.
No.
Right? They're hemorrhaging money, and there doesn't seem to be anybody that is championing the cause and pumping the brakes and saying, wait a minute, do you really need this to put it together? And the Big Ten and SEC are now legitimately minor leagues. Even in the Olympic sports, they're minor leagues.
And because they're minor leagues, now we're going to get into the whole Title IX thing with regards to the House settlement that at some point we'll have a discussion about, because I think what we're seeing is that people are saying, the people who make these types of decisions, that college sports has become just what you described. They become minor league professional businesses. And because it's a professional business, Title IX doesn't apply. And so we've made all these inroads, right? And we've seen now women's sports rise incredibly as far as popularity goes. The Final Four for the women now are being held in domes like the men. You've seen what Caitlin Clark has done for college basketball. We've seen the WNBA, and now I know I'm going to the pro side of things, but again, grow in popularity. And it just feels like, because we have not put a roadmap in place, that we're tugging and eroding at some of the advances that we've made. And to your point, Dan, with the amount of money that keeps getting generated, instead of looking at how do we make it work from a budget standpoint, like everybody in here has to do on a monthly basis, they're like, don't worry about it. Next year, this will go up. It'll be more money. Let's just keep bringing it in and throwing it back out.
You appreciate the value of the cap system that like Major League Baseball has, the NFL has.
Absolutely.
Right. Because right now, without a cap system, teams are going to spend athletic departments are going to spend more money just to keep up with the other athletic departments. So as long as there's one Ohio State out there in your conference, you have a decision.
Yeah.
We try to keep pace, or we just choose not to.
Mm-hmm.
And no one wants to look at their alumni and all those things and say, no, we don't want to, we're not going to play this game. And then there's a conference going to look at you and say, well, if you're not going to play this game, maybe you don't need to be in the conference,
right?
Kind of a thing. So you've got the social pressure to keep
damned if you do, damned if you don't,
That's
right?
exactly what it is. So until there's a level until it's all restructured,
right?
So we tear it all down and build it back up again and have a more professional context to it, you're going to continue to see the Ohio States drive the economics of the Big Ten. Texas is going to drive the economics of the SEC and so on. And some teams are going to keep up, but most teams are not going to be able to.
Yeah. And it's something I
still
think
find themselves in debt.
Along with this and this whole ruling with regards to Title IX in the next week or two, we're definitely going to have to take a segment and really address it, because it plays into what the competition will be in the coming years. So with that fine piece of segmenting, I'm just making my own stuff up on Valentine's Eve.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why
Okay.
not?
Let's go to break before I mess this up. On the other side of the break, we'll get into some Division III. We'll talk. We didn't get a chance to talk about UWM. We got to work UWM into the fold because they got a big weekend coming up. It's homecoming for the Panthers. So we'll get into that as well. And then as we wrap our fine program up, we'll hand out some shovels. We'll do it all after this commercial timeout. It's the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, 97.3 The Game.
Well, if there's anything certain of, it's I love you. Yes, I love you.
So the body knows that it needs to heal itself, but it doesn't know how to concentrate it and target it into just one area. So that's where we come in.
By we, Dr. Ashley Caravelli means the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, QC Kinetics.
We put in those treatments, then it sends out like little signalers to your body. We're able to make the body focus on the areas that need the most healing.
QC Kinetics has gathered brilliant medical minds like Dr. Caravelli and Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in the field of regenerative medicine, to lead the way in these innovative pain treatments.
So at QC Kinetics, we have a whole team working nationwide with cutting edge research to reach our patients and treat them and know that surgery is no longer their only option.
The consultation is free. Find out if you're a candidate. Call QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
The 2025 Wisconsin football schedule is here, and you should be too. Season tickets are on sale now, so don't miss your chance to jump around at Camp Randall Stadium this fall. Last year, 6 of 7 home games were sellouts, proof that there's nothing like game day with the Badgers. Secure your spot for marquee matchups against Ohio State, Washington, and Iowa, and enjoy the best value to see Wisconsin football in action. For more information and to get your season tickets, visit ewbadgers.com or call 1-800-GO-BADGERS.
Valentine's Day is just around the corner. If you're looking to make this year unforgettable, you have to check out Diamonds Direct. Whether it's a sparkling necklace, stunning ring, or something totally unique, shop smart this Valentine's at Diamonds Direct. Make this Valentine's one to remember.
Infinity's app shows precise costs of your new roof, providing peace of mind.
Infinity costs less, and the price we quote is surprise-free.
Because we pay less, you pay less. Warranted, guaranteed quality.
Installing peace of mind. InfinityRoofing.com.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because again, interest charges. With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data, available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Have you made your favorite station a preset on our new and improved iHeartRadio app?
Wait, what?
What about your favorite podcast? You could do that?
Yeah, you really can.
Whatever you choose, it's as easy as a tap to make a preset. And with the all-new live radio dial, it's easier than ever to discover new stations you'll love, plus the new trending section and the lyrics to all your favorite songs.
Love the new look of the iHeartRadio app, guys.
It's everything you love about your car radio in the palm of your hand. Find out what everyone's talking about and get the new and improved free iHeartRadio app today.
Milwaukee's FM home for sports and stuff. 97.3 The Game.
Be rich, be my girl. You don't have to be cool to rule my world. Ain't no particular sign that I'm more compatible with. I just want your extra time and your kiss.
Why does this always, we come on a break, we're laughing, and now all of a sudden, let's be very professional and welcome
Dave's
back
had
to
his pipe bomb moment.
the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank and presented by Sewer Ninjas right here on 97.3 The Game. Our thanks, as always, as we have noted, to Waterstone Bank, established in 1921, offering a full suite of personal and business banking products. Come for the outstanding customer service. You stay for everything else. Bank easier at Waterstone Bank. See everything they have to offer at WSBOnline.com. During the break, David, you said somebody actually texted us on the talk and text line. They're listening to our fine program. Go ahead with what was brought to our attention.
Yeah, Mike and Merrill texted in when we were talking about the Indiana job and who might want it. Is it desirable? Mike and Merrill wanted to know, is the Indiana job something that Joe Krabbenhoft, Badgers assistant, might ponder if he's offered. He's an up and coming
Mhm.
assistant and is likely to get an offer soon. So do you think that's something that might entice Joe Krabbenhoft?
I wouldn't see why it wouldn't, but the discussion we were having before we went sideways and started cracking ourselves up before we came back on the air is, does Indiana think, as far as what they perceive to be their program, going after an assistant? I think Joe Krabbenhoft would be great. I think he will get a head coaching job
Absolutely,
at some
yeah.
point. And I think, it's always dependent upon where you land, but I think he would do an absolutely wonderful job. The question, Professor, is, does Indiana see themselves as the type of program that would grab an assistant coach, no matter how talented and capable, because of how they perceive themselves and their program?
Right. Yeah. The comment I made, which is, I love the idea of Krabbenhoft getting his opportunity to lead a program, and he will. And Mike, I think you're right. That's worth talking about at Indiana. But does Indiana's culture right now and their pride around basketball allow them to consider someone that is not already an established head coach and putting that through there? I think that's a great dialogue within the inner confines of IU, especially if you have a strong athletic leader where someone's going to say, wait a minute, we've gone this route 6 times.
Yeah.
Looking for the person that's got head coaching experience. Maybe it's time. And the game has changed, guys. When we're talking about NIL and you're talking about trying to develop a culture where people want to stay, and that might lend itself towards a younger, more dynamic coach, and putting that in there.
Been hanging around with me too much, using
Yeah.
that proper English.
But so it's worth the conversation. I just think the blue bloods that are there, that believe that were there when Bobby Knight won his last championship, they may have a problem with that. But Krabbenhoft, it's time. It's time for him to get a shot.
Absolutely. Mike, appreciate you hitting us up on the Nicolay Law.
Thank you.
.com talk and text line. You guys can do it as well at 877-794-1973. Let's take a look at the top 25 in Division III right now. On the women's side, UW Oshkosh comes in at number 5. UW Stout at 17. Whitewater sitting at number 24 as far as the top 25 goes on the women's side. On the men's side, Platteville sitting at number 3. Wisconsin Lutheran at number 7. And then after that, we've had some teams that were in that have fallen off, but UW La Crosse hanging on at number 9. So here's the thing. Thank you, David. We love to say the University of Wisconsin La Crosse.
Absolutely. The Harvard of the Midwest.
Absolutely. You know, Ohio State can walk around like they're all high and mighty with their these. We'll
Okay,
throw
here
a
we
the
go.
for our UWL fans out there, which you and I have graced the campus
Proud
of.
Eagle alumni.
Proud
There we
Eagle
go.
alumni, but at very, very different
Very
times
different eras.
over the last several years. And we'll
Shared Oktoberfest. It was still there for
We
both
still
of you.
went
You're
to the
good.
library downtown, right?
Yeah, it was called something different when I was
it's all
there.
different. Okay.
That's what I'm getting at right there. But here's the thing with looking at the top 25, which is great. It's awesome for these schools to be able to put on their websites, for when the coaches are recruiting, like, listen, we're a top 25 program right now when we're trying to bring players in. But the new NPI system, and we talked about this in football, and fortunately, however the analytical equations were put into the old, Tandy 64, that it at least evaluated how the non-conference games were for these teams. And we saw that UW La Crosse had a couple of losses, one against a ranked Division II school. It was equated in UW La Crosse gets an at-large bid. We're going to see the same thing really with basketball. So basketball now, my understanding is they're going to take your 10 best games. That will weigh heavily. So if you've had some non-conference wins against, his pipe bomb likes to call the Sisters of the Blind, they're not going to be thrown into the equation. They want your 10 best wins, and that could be within the conference, however it works out. Where I'm going with this is, in the past, let's say Platteville, which has been number 1 in the country, that sits at number 3 right now, wins the WIAC. That could be the only team from the WIAC that gets in based on the analytics and how now the NCAA wants to utilize this NPI system to fill out their bracket, so to speak. So I guess what I'm saying is you're going to have a lot of conferences that had multiple entries, especially when we looked at the WIAC, that we're not going to see to the degree. We're still going to get multiple entries because the basketball tournament is much larger than football. I just don't think we're going to see it at the degree that we once did.
Here is my question. How are they defining 10 best wins?
It's math. I don't know. That's why you got computers. You plug it in. I don't know.
Let's get AI going. Look,
it's 8:35 on a Thursday. Why are you asking me questions like that?
It goes down to what can a conference like the WIAC and even the NACC expect to get in the at-large bids? How are they defining and what are they using to construct the 10 best wins? Is it, again, strength of schedule, the record of the teams that they beat, all those types of things. Now it's like the $6 million man. We have the technology. We can rebuild it, right? And if you don't get that reference, I am so sorry.
I was just going to say there's a number of people have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah,
but it's all going to depend. So I'm looking at the WIAC, for example. So we're starting to see some separation.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you've got Platteville, and I'm just going conference record of now 10-1. The UW Lacrosse.
Thank you.
Okay, 9-2, and then you see basically a 3-win gap between Stevens Point. Then you go down to Eau Claire again, stuff like that. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, Stevens Point is on the fringe, and right now their record is 16-6. Not a bad record.
Mhm.
Okay, but if either one of those 10 wins, 2 of them should have hypothetically happened to come at the pain of Lacrosse and at the pain of Platteville, then does that should count, right? You took the 2 guys ahead of you. Those should be 2 of your top bet. And how does that and are those best wins weighted?
And so looking at some of the rankings as they stand now, not the top 25, which obviously are voted on by coaches and athletic directors, but the NCAA also produces that analytical mode of 1 through,
math.
64 or whatever. Yep. Yes, we're back to math. But what we're seeing is teams ranked above. Let's take Platteville and Lacrosse. And this is all hypothetical, so please don't etch this into stone. But let's say Lacrosse would have beaten Platteville, and the way it is sitting right now with some matchups, Lacrosse would still be behind Platteville for whatever reason. It's unexplainable right now, but you would think that head-to-head matchup would play a little bit more in whatever the equation is. And as it stands right now, you're not seeing it when the NCAA releases all of their analytical stuff, which I guess shouldn't surprise you. And then you're going to say, well, why is that? And I'm going to say it's math. I don't know.
I just, these formulas now and how they're going to approach them and how they're going to, and they're going to be updated year to year.
Absolutely.
To be improved, air quotes on that one. But they're also going to be protected the way Fort Knox protects its gold, the way Coke protects its formula.
Right.
We're never really going to know exactly how this builds in, which has got to be maddening to these coaches that are on the bubble. Look, Platteville and Lacrosse, I don't believe are on any kind of bubble. I think they're both getting in. Where you run into problems where it's like a UW Stevens Point, UW Eau Claire, where maybe they get to an 18-19 win season, okay? And they have some success in the tournament. How are you measuring the top 10? Are you weighting some wins in the top 10 heavier than the others and and until anybody really understands it, and if that information is put out there, nobody knows. And I think that's part of in this kind of era of transparency. People want to know how you're coming to that conclusion.
Right.
D3 coaches may never find out.
Jeff Ligney is the commissioner of the NACC. You better get the bat phone ready, sir, because we're going to be calling, because when I need those types of explanations, that's where I
I
go
hope he
to.
looks at you and says math.
I don't do it. It's math. I have no idea. They just tell me and I roll with it, that kind of a thing. But I think as we make our way closer to the tournament, I think it's worth having that type of explanation so that we're not completely shocked when some teams don't advance that we think should advance. Switch gears. Let's go back to Division I and talk some UWM, because UWM's got a huge weekend coming up. It's homecoming for the Panthers tomorrow. They'll be at Panther Arena. It's a 7:00 tip. Again, it's homecoming. They'll be taking on Wright State. And then as far as I'm concerned, this is always one of those great games within the horizon, as UWM will take on Northern Kentucky. Again, it's at Panther Arena. They're going to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Sweet 16 team that, made just an unbelievable run and had us ecstatic as basketball fans. And that is slated again for Sunday at 2:00. So a UWM team that has been a little bit off here down the stretch. Their last time out, they lost 77-60 on the road at Cleveland State. Cleveland State has really ascended and shown their prowess within the horizon.
They have.
But again, this is a team that I need and will see Bart Lundy put the lab coat on and start mixing and matching and doing some things, because I don't care who it is in the horizon. You got to win the Horizon League tournament, as we've said at nausea, in order to get to the big dance. They've got the elements. It's a matter of making sure that everybody is on the same page going into the Horizon League tournament and garnering a little bit of momentum as the regular season begins to wind down.
Yeah, fighting for seeding, fighting for a home game, those types of things is what UWM is really looking for right now. I want to give them all the opportunities in my brain to say, okay, there's the Horizon League Conference Championship still there, but they've got, Cleveland State is good. There's no questioning about that. And that program is on a roll right now. And, it feels like UWM, they start really get some traction, some momentum, and then something just kind of misfires a little bit going on to that. That said, it really doesn't matter. Can you get a home game, number one, in Panther Arena, or at least at the Klotchke Center? And number two, to leverage it's always the next win. It's always one more win, right? To get the opportunity to get to that championship game, to give you the chance to get in the NCAA tournament. Where this comes down to then is this game against Wright State. Now we've got these last four. They all matter. Okay. Yeah. They all matter. And even if Milwaukee does not win a conference championship, seeding, home game, you've got to have it.
You hit it right there, because Bart Lundy will tell you that the way the tournament is set up, the Horizon League is looking for its top 4 teams. Mm-hmm. I'll call it an advantage. It's not like, we're getting calls or doing whatever. But as far as the seeding goes, they want to gear it for the best team to come out of the Horizon so they can be respectable, if not make a run like the Panthers did 20 years ago in the big dance. Mm-hmm. So seeding is important, and how this Panther team finishes will be really relevant once we get to postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is an all hands on deck kind of moment for UWM. And I'm not talking about the players or coaching staff. You've got these 2 home games that are kind of bookends for this weekend and next weekend. And this is where the community needs to come together. Ladies and gentlemen, Marquette's going, Wisconsin's going, that's out there, but you've got
UW Green Bay ain't.
No, they are not.
I just thought I'd throw that out there.
That's how kind of you.
Thank you.
So, but putting that together, I'm not going to go there. Anyways, this is the opportunity for the UWM community and for the Milwaukee community to step up and be a part of this and get this program into the next level.
All right. So again, we've got homecoming tomorrow, a game Sunday afternoon, and to use what we have determined to be our motto for the students and the fan base, shut up and go, because they need your support, because as Dan was alluding to, the season is winding down. All right, we got to get to our last break of the night. We've got to prep David because he's got to hand out a shovel on the other side of this timeout. It's the maiden voyage for the guy on the ones and twos over there. So we'll hand out some shovels to close out our fine program here on this Valentine's Eve. It's the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, 97.3 The Game.
For Window Nation, and right now we're in the month of February, and it's a short month, and you do not want to miss out on this great deal by Window Nation. 60% off all window styles from Window Nation. Plus, you get 0% interest and no payments for 2 full years. But it's only through the end of February. So give them a call at 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Schedule that in-home consultation right now. 866-90-NATION.
Listen to the Varsity Blitz High School Sports Show Saturday morning from 9 to 11. This week, we're talking with Dan Wandry. He's the head boys basketball coach at Brookfield Central High School. Only on Fox Sports 920 and your iHeart Radio app.
I'm defense attorney Tom Grieve. Never drive drunk. If arrested for DUI, say nothing. Remember, anything that you say can and will be used against you in court. Even if a friendly arresting officer tells you otherwise, a first-time DUI is a big deal. A first-time drunk driving conviction stays on your record for life, can impact career opportunities far down the road, and even limit your ability to rent a car or travel abroad. Call my award-winning team of former state prosecutors for help. You are only guilty if you are convicted. GrieveLaw.com. That's GrieveLaw.com.
Hey, Jason, what do you think of Capital's new jingle?
I like it, but I don't love it.
What? Why not?
It's catchy, but it says callcapitalcares.com. So is it telling people to call or go online when they need help with heating, plumbing, or electrical?
Yes.
Yes to what?
Yes to both. So call or go online and right now get a $49 Beyondification. That's a furnace tune-up done right for only $49.
Got it. And Mimi does rock the vocals.
Call capitalcares.com.
The 2025 Wisconsin football schedule is here, and you should be too. Season tickets are on sale now, so don't miss your chance to jump around at Camp Randall Stadium this fall. Last year, 6 of 7 home games were sellouts, proof that there's nothing like game day with the Badgers. Secure your spot for marquee matchups against Ohio State, Washington, and Iowa, and enjoy the best value to see Wisconsin football in action. For more information and to get your season tickets, visit ewbadgers.com or call 1-800-GO-BADGERS.
Are record energy costs putting a squeeze on your fixed or limited incomes? With limited incomes not keeping up with the lingering effects of inflation, you might be one of tens of thousands of Wisconsin residents who are struggling to survive in the blistering heat of summer or the bitter cold of winter. While you haven't asked for it, the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund and your local energy assistance providers are here to help. No Wisconsin resident should ever have to face the challenge of living without heat or power or face homelessness. For a hand up, apply today and call 1-800-506-5596. That's 800-506-5596. Or visit www.kwwf.org.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse and hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with USPS Ground Advantage Service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, presented by Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet above the rest every night at 6.
Well, listen to this. I can bet better. How's that?
On Fox Sports 920, 97.3 The Game.
All right, let's close up shop today and hand out some shovels. David is ready and waiting to hand out the first shovel of his fine broadcasting career here this evening on our fine program. Go ahead, David.
All right, my shovel here today is going out to our college baseball programs across the country. UWM college baseball season starts tomorrow. Yes, you can look at the 6 inches of snow outside, but college baseball season is starting.
Keep the glove down when you field that ground ball.
Tomorrow at Mercer. They're down there in Macon, Georgia, so they're playing 5 o'clock first pitch at Mercer. They've got quite the schedule lined up here for non-conference. Mercer, South Carolina, UNLV, Minnesota, Kansas. They're taking on some powerhouses there. They don't have their first home game until March 21st, so they got over a month until they return home. But college baseball season starts tomorrow, so UWM baseball, they get my shovel.
Good job, David. Way to go for handing out the first shovel.
Nicely
And
done.
I'll add to that just ever so slightly. UW Whitewater and the University of Wisconsin lacrosse
Absolutely.
preseason top 25 at the Division III level when it comes to college
As they should
baseball. Thank you. I mean, what? Were you going to question lacrosse ever? Come
Coach
on now.
Schwartz is absolutely fantastic. The program he's built there, the group that he's had, it's a fantastic culture. Turned out some great guys, including, yours truly a little bit, but a couple of guys in the pros. So, Caleb Bosley and Taylor Colway, shout out to our UW lacrosse legends over there and making their mark in the big leagues.
And
the legends here.
And absolutely.
Absolutely.
But the storyline from what David just described compared to when I was going to school there, that is worth somebody writing a book about, because when I was there, that program was at its depth. I mean, it was just, in
program was
passing.
nearly cut there for a while. Until,
Right.
They
It
were able
was
to come in and save it, and Schwartz took over, and it's been fantastic ever since.
and to see how that's been built up. And so we were talking about IU. I mean, lacrosse has got a blueprint on the baseball side of things on how to take something that was literally decimated and build it into what we're seeing right now. So good job, David. Professor, I go to you.
Barry Alvarez, I know you don't need me to tell you this, but continue to speak your piece, okay? The Wisconsin football program will be better if you are not maybe couching your words. And I think you came very close to completely unloading in your interview the other day. And I think it's time. If the heat is not going to come from the athletic department, I think the heat needs to come from the person that has performed in that arena, literally, figuratively, that has done the job, that built up the program to what it was. And your input is valued and it is important to everybody. So it may make some people cringe within the walls of the athletic department of Wisconsin.
Yep.
You know what? A little discomfort right now is okay. So Barry, you get my shovel. Thanks for talking. Keep talking.
Absolutely. My shovel is going to go south of the border. It's rare we leave the state of Wisconsin to hand out a shovel, but it's going to Brooks Barnheiser, who is a student athlete at Northwestern University, who a couple of weeks ago had to essentially, I'll say it this way, pull the plug.
Okay.
Why did he have to pull the plug as far as his basketball career goes with the Wildcats? He'd been playing the better part of the season on a broken foot.
Oh.
And couldn't do it anymore. And so if you go back and you see Chris Collins in a post-game press conference, and if my recollection serves me, it was after the Wisconsin game where Chris Collins in his post-game came out and said in tears that Brooks, was going to have to step aside. He had 9 double-doubles this season, which tied him fourth in program history. He's doing it or was doing it on a broken foot. So the storyline, Dan, came that the injury happened. They did some, I'll call it load management, some rest, talk to the doctors. Doctors are like, well, if you can stomach it, you can't do any more damage. Like there's nothing else you can do. When you're ready, we'll go in and fix it. And they did everything they could with load management. He'd play, he'd have to rest. He's doing this, that, and the other thing. And it finally got to the point where he just couldn't go anymore. And as much as we talk about NIL and the transactionalism of college sports, to see stories like this is what always seemingly attracts us to college athletics. Are the guys. Now, I'm sure he's getting, some NIL money. He's getting a little bit of this, that, and the other thing financially. But here's a kid who was really trying to gut out the season to make sure his senior campaign was something he could remember, and he went as far as he could go. And then it just, the pain is too much, and he had to go ahead and have the surgery.
He'll never understand the way he's motivated people with his story and his sacrifice in terms of the grit and the grind and the pain he went through. But in the future, there are going to be guys on that team. They're going to look back at what he did and think, well, I don't have it that bad. I can keep going.
Absolutely.
Kind of and that will be his legacy. Maybe not everybody's going to remember this, but the people in that locker room they'll never forget it.
I think you will see in the near future some sort of award named after him, that just from the team, not necessarily a national award, but a team award. When you get that end of the year banquet and, you get your most valuable player, you get this, you get that. The criteria, I think is going to be toughness, grittiness, as well as someone who's extremely talented that would win such an award. But just based on what we've heard and read, I think it's well worth it.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, man, what a story.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
Really, I think Northwestern needs to make that live and give that as much traction as it can.
Absolutely. David's telling me it's time for us to get out of here. Listen, tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so if you haven't gotten the card, the flowers, hurry it up and do so. And I'll tell you this, it's love if you throw 2 tickets to the UWM game tomorrow night, and she's excited. So I'll leave it at that. All right, time for us to get up out of here. Our thanks to TA for joining us. David, welcome aboard, sir. Good to have you. It was great. It was great watching him, like a proud parent, watching him hand out his first shovel here tonight. We're going to be back on Saturday for at least one more week. That's next week, and then we'll let you know where we're moving to after that. This has been the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, right here at 97.3 The Game.